The 2008 Atlantic hurricane season officially ended this past Sunday, and though it didn't make as much news as the record-setting 2004 and 2005 seasons, it was much busier than the last 2 years and continued this period of active hurricane seasons that we've been in since the middle of the 1990s. Now, in terms of numbers, this season was forecast pretty well ahead of time. Colorado State researchers back in April predicted 15 named storms, 8 of those hurricanes with 4 major hurricanes. That means Category 3 or higher. NOAA forecasters give a range. They called for 12 to 16 named storms, 6 to 9 hurricanes, 2 to 5 of those major. The season ended up with 16 named storms, 8 of them hurricanes, 5 of those major hurricanes. And for comparison, the long-term averages are 11, 6, and 2, respectively. Of course, the total number isn't nearly as important as how many hit land, and for the first time on record, 6 consecutive storms made landfall in the U.S. The first was Hurricane Dolly on July 23rd in South Texas. Then came Tropical Storm Edouard in North Texas in early August, Tropical Storm Faye in Florida on August 19th, Hurricane Gustav on September 1st in Louisiana, followed by Tropical Storm Hannah on September 6th in North Carolina, and finally Hurricane Ike on September 13th, once again in Texas. This was the first time since 1886 that 4 storms made landfall in the same year in the western half of the Gulf Coast. This was also the first season on record that major hurricanes developed in 5 straight months in the Atlantic Basin. Bertha reached Category 3 status briefly in July over the open Atlantic. Gustav was a major hurricane for 2 days over the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico in August. Ike was a major hurricane for 4 days in September, Omar for just 12 hours in mid-October, and Paloma for a day in early November. Paloma's top winds were 145 miles per hour, making it the second strongest November hurricane on record in the Atlantic. Here's a couple other distinctions from the tropics this year. Bertha lasted 17 days, making it the longest-lived July storm on record in the Atlantic Basin. Faye was the only storm on record to make landfall 4 separate times in Florida and to prompt tropical storm or hurricane watches or warnings for the state's entire coastline at one time or another during its life. And Ike was by far the most destructive Atlantic hurricane this year, with damage estimates now topping $20 billion, making it the 3rd costliest hurricane in the U.S., behind only Katrina and Andrew. And for those of you already thinking about next year, well, next Tuesday, Dr. William Gray and his team from Colorado State will issue their early outlook for the 2009 hurricane season. Fred is back with our decidedly non-tropical extended forecast next.